What's up, Gary? What's up, Paxmore? Did I stub my toe? What's up, Johnny? Ooh, John's opted for YouTube. I'm so interested to know the difference in the viewing experience between Twitch and YouTube's. Fuck if I know, man. I'm a dreamer. I dream about massive multiplayer online role-playing games. I got both? Both? With an L in there? Here's what's kind of frustrating about the dual stream is that I can't, and I know we've talked about this, that I need to have a third party streaming or a chatting thing, some kind of plugin that will give us both in one place. Because right now in Streamlabs, I have no way to actually chat on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time in one chat. I have to like go to YouTube in my browser to chat in YouTube, whereas in Streamlabs I can chat directly to Twitch. I don't know. I haven't really looked into that because it's a complication that I don't want to deal with. I just don't want to deal with it. I just don't, man. This is why I won't do more than 2 shows a night anymore, man. I just won't. And you don't cross the streams, of course not. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Have you ever had a dream? Someone did you so hard you could do anything? You know? Okay. I'm a dreamer. All right, let's my setup here is a little different than usual, so you're all gonna have to bear with me. Will you bear it? Will you bear it? Will you, Dana? Goddamn ghost busting Barrett, would you for me? Please. Thank you. Yeah. Oh. Yup. Ooh. Did I miss that? I think I did that wrong. I don't have my audio monitoring on, which is nice. I don't have to wear my headphones. Hello, all. Welcome to the dark room. I am Paul Hinton, the dude in the dark room, and it is Thursday, December 14th. It's time to party. That's right, Gare. It is my birthday, so this is kind of like a birthday celebration stream extravaganza. It's actually going to be it's actually going to be a pretty short stream, to be completely honest with you. I have the freedom. Oh. And I wanted to say cheers to everybody. I love you guys. I love everybody. Happy birthday, me, you know. I'm gonna be a little vain about it today, you know. I love you guys, because if I wasn't able to spend the time with you, it wouldn't be worth it. So I love you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. My girlfriend is my designated driver, just to promote safety first, please. Okay, I always like to promote that. Thanks everybody for coming and being part of this. Today we're going to be doing what you might remember we did like a long time ago, and I haven't done any photoshopping or photo editing on here for a very long time. But if you are familiar with the beginning of the streams, the first streams we did, this was some of the earliest things I was doing on here. And this was kind of the most important thing to me, and I know we kind of got sidetracked. I got very, very interested in building our photography and video game thing, because that's a concept you have all helped me build on. But one of the first things that I originally intended to do on here was go through my massive, massive archive of photos and start sharing some stuff that I've never been able to share before, or not never been able. Well, you know, it's probably true. Psychologically, never been able to share things that I just haven't shared, either, you know, through just laziness or anxiety or whatever, not wanting to put yourself out there. I have so many photos over the years. The joke with me and my friends is that, you know, I take all these photos because I used to have my camera on me basically 24 hours a day, and now you have your iPhone, which is fine. And you don't need to bring your camera, but I always had my camera and I was always taking pictures, but then no one would ever see them because I never shared anything. So a lot of this photo editing stuff that I started doing way back when was to try to bank on all that work I've been doing and share it with everybody here in an interesting, informative way, you know? And again, we haven't done this for a long time. Also, was my frame rate okay? Let me check my frames. 45 FIPS. It's not bad. I I don't know if it's supposed to be locked at 60 if we're not gaming, because that only seems to lock in if I'm actually streaming a game. I have a little frames monitor on Streamlabs here, and it tells me if we drop frames, if we're having any issues or whatever. I think it looks pretty solid. My fear was that the last time I did anything outside of streaming a game directly, I think we were doing some video editing in Final Cut, and the video was super choppy. I was losing a lot of frames, and I didn't know what was wrong, and I didn't want to try to dick around and figure it out. So hopefully the frame rate looks okay, and everything is coming through hunky dory for all y'all. But if there is any technical issues, please tell me, because it's not going to embarrass me. And in fact, it's kind of fun to try to troubleshoot on the fly. I've had to do that a few times. There's kind of an excitement to it, you know. It's kind of like, if you think about it, it's like snapping into a Slim Jim, you know, the excitement of doing things on the fly. And I think that's kind of the message Macho Man really wanted to promote through his, not only his brand endorsement deals, but through his wrestling in general. Also, his work as Bonesaw in the Spider-Man franchise. It's just second to none in terms of a WWF cameo, you know. Because Hulk Hogan, those weren't cameos. Those are full-on, full-fledged movies. That's neither here nor there. Other than, you know what's actually kind of fitting, Redeem? Thank you. Oh, wait. Did that come through? Ooh, I didn't check if Streamlabs was... I should have checked that first. Did that work for you? Also, I don't have audio monitoring. Hang on. It needs the cooldown. Nobody else do a redemption for a second. Did it not work? It takes like 5 seconds. Again, troubleshooting on the fly. It didn't work. Okay, hang on. That's actually a very easy fix. Streamlabs. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do it. I probably could do it through the actual desktop, but I don't want to do it through that app because I haven't done it. I always do it for some reason on the website. Hang on, this is going to be just a bit of a... no, I don't want to sign up for Streamlabs. Log in with Twitch. Authorize. Y'all gotta love double authentication. Oh, which it's not even going to require. Okay. My safety is of utmost importance to these people. Go to the dashboard. They're trying to sell me their little silly parlor tricks on Streamlabs, which we already pay. There's like already a subscription fee that we're paying monthly for, or I think I do a yearly thing for Streamlabs, which again, all of your support, the subscriptions and whatever other ways, Patreons, thank you patrons, all that stuff, it's helping counter at least the cost of doing this. Okay, CloudBot, all you gotta do is turn CloudBot on. This is super simple. Paxmore, by the way, is Paxmore here? I saw Paxmore. Saw you. He taught me all this shit, just so you know. Just FYI. And for some reason, CloudBot likes to turn itself off. For no reason, you have to do it multiple times. All right, let's see if that did it. And again, it sucks you can't do multi-stream chatting, because if I accidentally don't click into the multi-stream chat here, I can't see if people are commenting on YouTube or whatever, and that I don't want to piss people off. Paxmore taught him. Of course you taught yourself. My friends are all very intelligent people. It's the kind of people we like to commune with, you know. Surround yourself with some good people and your life will be good. FYI. Okay, wait, hang on. Redeem. Horse. Am I spelling that right? My chat monitor. What? Join Twitch? Oh, I can't. What? The hell is that? For some reason, okay, I have to do it in Twitch. Oh my goodness. I love troubleshooting on the fly because it makes me... Okay, here we go. I literally have like 4 chat windows because, again, we need to consolidate. Did that do anything? Hang on, maybe CloudBot turned itself off again. It did. Ba. Ah. 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 Cloudbot. Ooh, why does it keep... Ooh, did my... Do you need to do maybe my subscription? Hang on. I love troubleshooting on the fly. If we don't get Cloudbot working in the next like 2 or 3 minutes, I'm not going to deal with it. To be honest. Ooh, there we go. Okay, refreshed it. Brandon, thank you. Thank you. Hang on, Brandon. Did you bring us good luck? Ah, he did. Of course. Dude, Brandon. I know you're a big sports guy. One day you're going to own a big sports bar. And you just came in clutch. I know you like the term clutch when we're talking about sports. I feel like I've heard you use it about a dozen times, probably a dozen or 2 times in my life. Averages out to 0.5 times per year or so, 0.3 to 5 times per year. Anyway, you just came in clutch because the Streamlabs wasn't working properly. And literally you came in and the last thing I tried to fix, it worked. So groovy. Thank you. And we're just getting started. So yeah, thank you. Again, we're going to be doing some photoshopping, which is not something we've been doing for a while because it was a very early, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Photoshopping was like some of the earliest stuff we were doing on here. Yeah, Brand's kind of a savior. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to get back into doing that. I do not have any plans to stop doing this. And I apologize, apaulogize, that we haven't been doing it more because it's kind of one of the first things that I really wanted to do with this. And then we got very interested in exploring the photography in video games, which is kind of almost more interesting to me now. And this is a ADD side effect, probably. Not that I'm diagnosed with that, but I guarantee you I would be if anybody tested me. If everybody tested me or anybody tested me, I guarantee you. But the ADD of my life is that I get very interested in different things over time, and I know a lot of people are like that, so not surprising. But because I got very interested in exploring our photography in video games and photography in media in general, some of this kind of took the back seat, and I want to get back into it because this is all very easy. This is content that we don't need to produce. This is kind of already the major part of the production is over, and then we do some simple editing and whatnot and have some fun and talk about it. And it's a good time. So tonight, like the Smashing Pumpkins song, we're gonna be doing some editing. So let's jump in. Let's jump right in. Photoshop. Using this Can y'all still hear me? Y'all still hear me? Can you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Schnitzel. Oh, wait, here we go. Display. You can kind of hear me, though? Okay, that's fine. You guys get to watch me futz around with this. Ooh. Now you can see me? Now you don't. I doubt this is gonna... Ooh, see, okay. Well, we got Photoshop up. We're learning with you. So wait, okay, now... This is exactly what I had to do. And I actually meant to do this before... I should have done this, but it was running fine before I started the stream. That's the problem, is that there's no... Like, until I start the stream, if there's a problem while I'm streaming, obviously I couldn't have known that before I started streaming. So it's not my fault, you know what I mean? Video capture device. Thank you. Hey, oh, oh, what's that? Hi. Oh, hey, oh, hey. Hey. So wait, you can hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? This is great. Everything does it, does the frame rate look better now? Frame rate looks better now. I'm getting a 56 FIPS on my monitor, and you can hear me, right? Chargers crapped so bad. No clutching. Nobody was clutch. Okay, does that look okay? You guys gotta help me out. This looks fine. We're all good. Okay. I feel like a goddamn high school history teacher can't work his projector system. 100%. Okay. Anyway, fucking shit. I should have done that. I told myself to create a new scene. For whatever reason, when something's going wrong like that, if I just create a completely new scene in Streamlabs, which is just adding all the sources that we need to add. So in this case, we added the display capture, which is where we're photoshopping, and then my video capture from my camera. That's all I needed to add into a new scene. Although now, here, wait, actually, I guess, hang on. I got to get alert box in here, because that's, and then chat. This is easy. This is easy peasy. And I told myself to do this, but it looked fine going into it. Watch, I add the alert box and the chat box, and then that pushes it.
Now it's locked in place.
Okay. Hey, there it is.
So really, you say,
atta boy. And then the frame rate drops when people redeem, it seems like sometimes. Okay. I'm not going to add the chat box because I'm scared. I saw my frame rate go down quite a bit there, and I'm scared to add something else. So let's just redemptions offline. Did that work? Wait, did that work? That looked like it worked.
Look
Yeah.
at that horse.
Can y'all see that? Is that good, or did I have that deactivated? That's good. We're good. That looks good. It looks good to me. It looks good to you. Maybe I should wear my worth it. Yeah, okay. We're good. We're good. Part of the fun process. Watch me struggle. Watch me squirm. Okay, so anyway, here we have what we're talking about tonight. Here, let me do this too. I will. Y'all don't really need to see me that large in here. So let me shrink down a bit. Shrinkage. Shrinkage. It's kind of fun messing around with that. Redeem photographer. Get you one better.
Piece of that the tip just got me, Odell.
Oh, shit. Oh, also, I can't. I guess I'm not signed in through Twitch on Streamlabs. Anyway, I can't use the chat in Streamlabs. Somebody do the cameraman. I was trying to do the cameraman redeem. Like that cameraman's angle. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, let's get this party started, dude. We have a little bit of photoshopping to do here, and it ain't gonna wait for nobody. Got a little coffee. French roast. The French. Okay. So, I absolutely love astrophotography. Photography of the night sky, the celestial bodies in the night sky. You guys probably all already know this if you've watched us photograph pretty much anything on the stream. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. If you've watched us photograph anything on the stream in the games that we play or some of the photoshopping that we've done, not that we've taken any photos, doing a stream session with astrophotography is possible. I've thought, believe me, I've thought about this. It's possible, but it's not in the cards logically now, ergonomically. It's not in the card because I can't financially, more accurately, financially speaking, it'd be a very expensive proposition. I don't have the means to do it yet, but one day we can do something streaming outside of our darkroom because we're contained here. I have access to the cables and internet that we need, whatever. The video recording devices, everything's set up here. But eventually we'll be able to shoot stuff like this, hopefully, out in the field. And you guys can watch the entire process go down while we are actually photographing, and you can be part of it. But something like this is not easy. This is a remote location-ish location that I was shooting in. This is a very old photo. Like I said, all of this, thank you. All of this that I'm going to be editing for the most part is going to be very old photography. Things, again, that I was just too self-conscious to share with the world back in the day. But I do love astrophotography, and I do love adventuring around this beautiful landscape that we live in. I live in California. I grew up in a very beautiful place. And the photos tonight that we're editing actually were taken at one of my favorite locations in my local area, northern Los Angeles area. This is up one of the many windy mountain roads that we have around here. It's actually very fun as a photographer, as a creative person, just to I would throw my camera in the car and just drive around, drive up through the canyon roads, see what I could find. And one of the favorite local spots to many people around here, including myself and a lot of my friends. I've been to this spot with, I think, pretty much everybody on the chat, if I'm not mistaken. Top of the world, is that what you call it? It's funny because there's another spot that was colloquially known as top of the world for me and my group outside of this. This is Piuma Road. As you can maybe see in the file naming, in my file structure, we have Piuma Road. Self-portrait. It's going to be a little self-portrait of your boy. Which I think I've ranted about this before, but it's not like I want to take pictures of myself, okay? It's just, in terms of licensing imagery, having yourself in the photo is very simple compared to having to deal with models and licensing and getting their permission and buying their permission, buying their time to pose for you, whatnot, which is the one where you got busy at, well, it looks like I was pretty busy shooting photos here, my friend. So this one and all the rest. All right. All of them, all of the above, obviously. And this is not the entire photo session. This is just the last few images that I absolutely fell in love with and would want to share. Because as you know, any creative process, thank you, Jean-Claude. Any creative process, there's like there's kind of a working portion to mold it, form it into what you want it to be. And photography is no different than painting or sculpture, woodworking, whatever you have it, working the form into how you want it to be. And one of the fun things about photography, looking back at your photo sessions like this, you can kind of see how it evolves over time and watch how you tweaked the image and the differences you wanted to make in it as time went on. And I love looking back, especially these old photo sessions where I can watch my process and get back into my mindset at the time as if I were still there, which I do intend. Some of these, like this one that we're going to do tonight, I would love to recreate these, because the problem, and one thing we're going to go over here, is that way back in the day, especially, I was very technically limited with what I could accomplish. And the reason this is called this, first of all, this image is going to be titled Dreamer, is the tentative title. I wasn't sure if I wanted to call it Ascended Dreamer or just Dreamer, which is all a reference to Morrowind. If you love Elder Scrolls, there's enemies, and I think it's like a class. It's actually a character class. Dreamer and Ascended Dreamers, enemies called Ascended Dreamer or Ascended Sleepers. There's no Ascended Dreamers, which is kind of an amalgamation of the Dreamer characters and the Ascended Sleepers, but we're Ascended Dreamers here, right? Not that that really means anything. I'm just playing off those names from the game because I love that game very much, which we play on the stream when we can. Painting with light and shadow. Oh, yeah. You didn't know shit as a kid. I know, exactly. Well, no, I think I understood a bit about, obviously, because I got results, right? So I knew a little something, right? But what I didn't have was access to, in this case, again, really, this was very technically limited. At this time, this is 2006. This picture was taken August 13th, 2006. And if you can believe the timestamp, which I wouldn't trust to be very accurate, it's probably somewhat accurate. But the timestamp could be an hour, several hours off. This is 9:39 p.m. So I was doing this photo session around 9 p.m. on August 13th, 2006. But in 2006, digital cameras were in their infancy, and consumer grade cameras that I had access to were especially in their infancy. I was very fortunate to have at least a decent interchangeable lens, digital single lens reflex camera at the time. And in this case, it was I believe this was my Rebel XT, Canon Rebel XT. Wait, let me look. Or is this my 5D? Did I have my 5D yet? I think, wait, it should be, wait, it'll say once we open. Let's just open everything. This is the next step anyway. We're in Bridge now, but we're going to do the bulk of our editing in Photoshop. And actually, predominantly the majority of it is going to be done in Camera Raw, Adobe Camera Raw, which is my workflow. So let's just look at it like this, because this is where we have to be anyway. Everybody can get associated with the layout. So like I said, I shot more photos than just this, but this is the select few of the last images that I felt were the closest to my vision, my dream of this particular scene, what I saw in my head and wanted to bring to life. Dang XTI. Okay, so if I'm, XT, not even the XTI. XTI was, I think, one generation after the XT. XTI, XSI, X whatever, and then it's also known as the KISS Digital in other parts of the world, and I forget which number, KISS Digital 3000 or some bullcrap. Either way, Digital Rebel XT, the Rebel line, the Canon Rebel line, a little bit of background. The Rebel line of Canon cameras, it was the same for their 35 millimeter SLRs, not digital, right? 35 millimeter analog. The Rebel line was kind of their entry level point with like professional grade features in interchangeable lens cameras. So the original Rebel film camera was kind of a revolutionary in terms of financial standpoint, and it was no different for the Digital Rebel. When the Digital Rebel came out, it was like a humongous leap for affordability in digital cameras. And I was not shooting digital when the original Rebel came out, or I didn't shoot it as much, but my brother, Johnny Boy there, did have a Canon 10D, which the Canon 10D and the original Rebel shared a sensor, if I'm not mistaken. That 6.3 megapixel sensor, they shared those. And the big deal was that the 10D was a prosumer, I can't quote the MSRP, but thousands of dollars, $2,000 or $3,000 MSRP. And then the Rebel was a sub $1,000. I think it came out at $999. These are the kind of things I meant to research before ranting, but I didn't even intend to rant about that, but it happens. Either way, big revolutionary camera. And so I did get a chance to shoot with the 10D a bit while my brother wasn't using it. But then when I finally got my hands on my own digital SLR, I was very, very happy with what I could accomplish. Having shot film, I was a big film shooter. I shot 4x5 sheet film, 6.3. Yeah. I was a big sheet film photographer. If I wasn't shooting medium format was small format. You know what I mean? 4x5 was like the least I wanted to get to produce very high quality. I love landscape photography. You probably heard me talk about Ansel Adams and Edward Weston, a couple of my favorite photographers. When I was growing up, they shot large format and I was just sold on it. I wanted an 8x10 camera. That was my dream. Never got that. Probably never will. Too expensive, too much of a hassle. And digital now, the resolution and everything is so amazing. The gap has closed substantially. But back here, 2006, the Digital Rebel XT was not the best camera. While it was very good, very, very, very good at the time for doing long exposure photography, it still didn't perform that well. And obviously, I could have made some changes in terms of my exposure time here, but I think my issue, if I'm looking back at these, I believe my issue was at this time, I did not have a shutter release cable for my camera, if I'm not mistaken. Because yeah, every single one of these is done at 30 seconds. And I'm pretty sure that was because I didn't have a shutter release cable. I had no way to expose the shot for longer than the maximum time given to the camera. And one of the differences between tiers of camera, again, this Rebel was a very, very low end camera. It lacked a lot of the features that the professional cameras had. And things like shutter speed vary between the different levels of camera, the different tiers of camera. So while they probably could have given you an option to program an exposure, there's, now we have time lapse built into cameras and it's easy breezy. We didn't have that functionality, especially with the lower end cameras back in the day. So I think here I was basically at the will of my maximum shutter speed that I could set it to, which looks like it was 30 seconds. Because otherwise at now, I mean, I would have done a lot of things different. I'm actually maybe kind of glad it was limited to 30 seconds because with photography of the night sky, if you want the stars to not trail, the shutter speed has to be relatively quick unless you're using a tracking device to track the stars. And in that case, you can't use foreground subject because that's going to stand still while the telescope is following the stars, right? So at 30 seconds, we're not getting, well, at 30 seconds and at this focal length, we're at 17 millimeters here. We're not getting significant light trails from the stars, but there's enough to enlarge them and elongate them so that they're more prominent in the image. So I'm kind of glad we did that. Typically with a shot like this, I would want actually a shorter duration, especially if I'm posing, because this, keep in mind, I had to sit still for 30 seconds to resolve myself here. You want pinpoint light stars. So longer we hold our shutter open, the more those stars are going to trail. Here at 30 seconds at 17 millimeter, I actually kind of glad that the stars trailed because it enlarged them a bit, makes them more prominent, like I said. If I was doing things now, I would probably shoot with a much faster lens. Also, back then, Paxmore, thank you. Thank you. Who got gifted what? I'm going to miss a bunch. Low bass guy. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I was explaining, my setup is like completely different right now. So I don't have, the chat is in a weird spot. I know this is like same song and dance as it always has been here, but if I miss anything, believe me, it's not, I would never intentionally miss a chat, miss a person in the chat. I probably missed a bunch. Take no offense. 17 to 40. Yes, Johnny. Hang on. Let me go through this. The chat is much higher up than my editing screen, so I miss a lot. Adobe Bridge, yes, blah, 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 17 to 40. Love that lens. Gets a lot of shit. I absolutely love it. Still going strong. Yeah, we still have it. We still shoot with it. I've got it serviced by Canon a few times, though, so they kept it up and running. I just canceled my Canon CPS, by the way. It got re-renewed, and I was like, I don't need it. Save me $100. Back is broken from large format, yes. And then low bass guy comes in, dude, I know, long time. I'm sorry. I was explaining that earlier. This is what we began doing on the stream. This is the beginning. This is what we originally intended to do. And I kind of fell off a little bit. But I have a lot of plans for this. Don't even worry. Good to catch. Yeah, thank you. I know it's been a while, man. Good to see you too. I'm sorry I haven't dropped into yours. I've been dealing with other stuff, more different priorities. Nothing bad. Nothing bad. Just I want to say, I like to think of it like we got the stream going and we did the first few years, and I kind of developed what we wanted to do here. Like I said, thank you guys all for being a part of developing the video game side of what we do here. And I feel like after deciding what I wanted to do, then it was like a lot of planning and honestly just contemplating what the next move was. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I didn't expect, nobody judges here. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for coming, man. I really appreciate judges silently. Yeah. No. If you're not, is that a reference to whenever I hear somebody say like I'm judging you silently, it always reminds me of Magnolia, when Tom Cruise is like sitting there and he's all like angry at the reporter. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm judging you silently. Something like that, to paraphrase some Cruise for you. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Back to the matter. The Mad Hatter, the matter at hand. Like I was saying, this time was not a great time for long exposure photography with subframe cameras with slow lenses. This is what I was getting at. I was dealing with a small format digital sensor, a very, very early small format digital sensor. Although this was considered very large at the time, the APS-C sensor, very large compared to most digital cameras that the consumer could afford. Again, going back to how the Rebel was kind of a revolutionary camera in terms of its price point. For consumers to jump into the digital realm. Dude, there were like 3 megapixel. You should, if you ever want to just have a blast, go look into the history of digital photography. Look at the goofy looking cameras, the like old Kodak DSC, Canon and Nikons that were just like a digital brick shoved into a 35 millimeter camera body. Go look at those. Hilarious. revolutionary 1.3 megapixel sensor. There are actually some interesting cameras I've been wanting to check out because with such low resolution way back when, image quality was actually, in terms of like low light performance, was actually pretty good comparatively to like the higher format dense sensors that we ended up getting once I started with digital photography, when no one cared about actual image quality metrics and everybody only cared about megapixels. I was just talking to my girlfriend about resolution today and how it's a kind of a misleading in a lot of ways. Just knowing the megapixel count of the sensor in no way indicates resolving power. Anyway, another time, another floppy disk camera. Oh wait, this actually brings me another point. Okay. Another talking point really quick. So one thing that convinced me, I've been wanting to edit this photo session for a while. This has been on my list for a long time. But one thing that kind of convinced me, oh shit, I can't just do, okay, wait. There's a lot of technical difficulties earlier if you guys weren't here. I'm just going to do this. I should set up, whatever. This is fine. I'm going to shrink myself. I can shrink. I'm fine with shrinkage. I'm fine with shrinkage. Whole point, I was reminded to do this and kind of influenced to do this because I just got gifted. We got some darkroom donations recently. Well, it's actually a while ago now, but I was getting through to looking at them. We got a box of old cameras, which I do intend to do more of the photo sessions where we photograph cool stuff on here, photograph these cool cameras and stuff. But we got gifted this beautiful little old Nikon Coolpix, very dirty little filter on the front of the lens here. I know you're like cringing while I touch it with my finger. This camera doesn't function anymore. It's going to be just a prop now. But we got this camera donated to the darkroom, and of course it had a memory card inside. Digging through the memory card, my brother Johnny there found a couple images. Oh wait, also I didn't have my microphone. Silly. How much could you hear? My brother John got that camera, dug some images off of it, and one of the images, or several of the images actually, we're trying to determine like who it was, and we're trying to see like if we recognized somebody. And there's some very funny instances where like you had a person in the frame, but like the dog's head was blocking. I should have had the images to rant about, but it wasn't really part of the plan. Last minute additions. But guess what spot? We could hear you just fine. Okay, good. Guess what spot these people were at photographing, probably just like us, driving around trying to find some cool stuff to photograph. They were at this spot on Piuma Road, the exact same spot. We recognized it almost immediately. It's pretty obvious since we love it. We could be there. You could hear what he said about Gary. Okay, good. Jokes. I love jokes. Okay, I'm shrinking myself back down because again, I should have set this up again earlier, but it's my fault. It's my fault. Okay, back to it. Anyway, we found that camera and they happen to have been photographing at this spot. It's very interesting. That was such a kooky coincidence. So anyway, this photo session, again, driving up. I've also, again, love astrophotography. So nighttime adventures are very, very fun and interesting for me. And I find myself adventuring around at night a lot. I don't sleep very well. If you notice, there's a quote in the description, which I don't know if that shows up on Twitch or only YouTube or whatever. Again, we're streaming on multiple platforms now. And I don't know, because Streamlabs is not set up the best for both. Anyway, and I could probably make some changes to make it better. Either way, I lost my train of thought again. What a coincidence. We were up there driving around. Oh yeah, nighttime. I don't sleep very well, so I find myself adventuring around at night a lot. Oh, the quote. That's right. The quote in the stream description is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I dream a lot, but I'm not a very good sleeper. by one of my favorite directors, Michel Gondry, which I'm not going to try to pronounce in a good French accent because that's embarrassing for me. But one of my favorite directors, filmmakers, artists in general, very big influence on me. And that quote sums me up so perfect. It's one of the most perfect, all-encompassing, encapsulating quotes that I would give someone if I was going to give someone a quote to kind of wrap me up. And so being a light sleeper, I end up late, and I do very much like my time adventuring by myself and photographing and whatnot. You're explaining exactly how Teflon sticks to the pan. Yeah, let me get into the science of that one. Have no idea. If you want me to sound like an idiot, I can do some Paul facts, which is what we call when I bullshit something. Bullshit something. Which most of this, I will not give you guys Paul facts on most of these lectures. Never going to do Paul facts here. Anyway, let's get started because it's going to be a pretty quick editing session. I know a lot of this we're ranting a lot, but the editing itself is going to be very fast. That was a bar from Paul right there. Yeah. Oh yeah. So like I said, these are only a few of the last images we took during this little photo session. But the one we're going to edit is these ones where I'm laying down on the rocks, silhouetted against that beautiful starry night sky. And this one in particular is going to be the one we edit. This is actually the fully edited version. I've edited these before. So actually all I'm going to do is I'm going to remaster it. Essentially, I'm gonna go back to our camera raw defaults, and then I'll show you what I did to get us to this spot. Because as the rant was going about how tech can hold you back and technology can limit your creativity, and I have felt very held back by the technical limitations of what I could accomplish by myself, what I could do with the means that I had. Right. While I think one of the reasons I didn't want to share these is because, again, this is what I started. Thank you, Johnny boy. This is what I started with. My original image is so noisy and grainy and gross because those digital sensors did not do well with long exposures that didn't have enough light. This didn't have enough light. It could be cleaner, of course, if I had let the camera expose longer, let more light in. We would have had a lot cleaner of an image, because here, I think even here I have a push. I have a one-stop-ish push, and I have the brightness turned up. Here, we'll go back. Anyway, that was very discouraging as a young one to get back to, all I was looking at when I was doing this photo shoot was my little 2-inch or 2.5-inch LCD on the back of the camera, where you cannot see detail. You can barely tell what's going on. The camera's using its camera processing to do noise correction, and it looks better than it actually ends up when you finally view it large, right? I got back and I was probably trying to do some noise reduction, and I was very disappointed. I actually didn't bring in the original photoshopping that I had done back then. I probably should have, but I didn't want more to have to rant about. But regardless, I was very disappointed with how I could make this look with the noise reduction at my disposal at the time. Noise reduction by itself, so much better now, right? What we can get away with these days with high ISO images and noise reduction, which I'm not even going to do. I intended to play around with there's like a better noise reduction in Photoshop that takes a lot more processing time. I didn't want to mess around with it. I forget what it's called. Kind of a recent addition to Photoshop, or maybe it's only in Adobe Camera Raw. But you can do some pretty incredible things with noise reduction and boosting resolution, which, as you can see, this is only a 7.6, 8 megapixel camera we were shooting with at the time. So in terms of printing this anything larger than, I think I was getting away with 16 by 20s at the time, that I was like, okay with, depending on things are going, but not much larger than that before it starts to fall apart and look pretty icky. So we can bump that up now and print much larger, which, if you're like me, the kind of impressive imagery that you saw when you were getting very interested in photography were gigantic prints that you could stand in front of and gaze at the detail and just be in awe of the image, right? Which I've never been able to print much larger than that. I have a lot to say about that. It's another lecture for another time with another image. But with this resolution at this image quality, printing large is just no, especially back then, right? But now we can clean it up a bit, and I will probably play around after this because I'll just get this image to be basically web worthy. But to make it like print worthy, probably would need a little bit more work in terms of cleaning up artifacting, bumping the resolution, things like that. That's not what I want to get into today. Let's just go through. I'll just explain my thoughts while we did the photo shoot, obviously. So obviously this is one, like I said, one of my favorite spots, local favorite spots to go photograph. Great spot to get some night sky images. There's a lot of light pollution going on here. I actually don't mind a little bit of light pollution in the sky. It can add a kind of an interesting gradient to it sometimes, depending on how intense it is. But obviously I'm not I'm not far enough away from the large metropolitan areas to avoid light pollution in an image like this. So I don't mind that. Obviously I always shoot auto white balance. But you can see in these edited images, which we'll get to, I cooled it down quite a bit because that is the vibe we want. We want to feel like we're almost floating in space. We're dreaming. We're just sitting here dreaming in space. And I think the original vision was something more like this. And this is the kind of astrophotography with a foreground subject kind of image that I see the most nowadays, is someone standing and just gazing at the stars, which I think one of my original edits of this image, this exact image, is called Stargazer. And I think the popular thing to do would be to hold a flashlight and point it up at the sky like you're in X-Files or something, and have that light cone coming out of the flashlight. Very, very, very stereotypical image. But it's a cliche, and cliches are cliches because they work, right? Results of the new AI noise thing, really cool, but I find it really off-putting that it generates new DNG instead. That has always been weird with me because that's how they do HDR. I guess that makes sense because they're combining into one thing. But yeah, it's kind of weird that it's throwing it into its own file. I agree. And like I said, I will mess around with that. I haven't even touched it. One of my ideas for tonight was to mess around with it, but it's like whatever. Like I said, I can get this web ready, and then maybe if we do decide we want to do a print and a showcase of something like this later down the road, then we can dig in and try to upscale it, clean it up as much as possible. Right now, we're just getting it web ready, essentially. So I started with a very stereotypical standing, looking at the stars, right? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I was very disappointed with the motion blur associated with my swaying self standing there for 30 seconds, right? I think I was pretty disappointed with that. And then I decided, hey, I'm going to lay down. I'll create a silhouette. I don't have to hold myself still as much. And this is a beautiful portrait silhouette, reminiscent of another very beautiful location in my area. There's a beautiful local legendary mountain called Ladyface Mountain. And the silhouette of the mountain is said to resemble a person or a lady's face kissing the sky. Laying down, you can see the nose and the lips kind of seem to be pursed, and they're kissing the sky. Ladyface. It's a local attraction. So just like that, I put myself in silhouette and I became part of the rock face itself as I lay dreaming below the stars, right? And obviously I shot this a few times, couldn't get my legs to look right, to make it, like, obviously look at this, I look very uncomfortable. And I'm also a very impatient person, so shooting these up is probably very impatient and stressing out. And obviously I shot a couple of these, and I guarantee you, I did not notice this little shooting star in the final image and the one that I am going to stick with now. But we have this beautiful little shooting star up here, or comet or something. I don't think that's a plane because these other images display what a plane looks like flying through the frame. So I'm pretty sure it is a little shooting star. I love the placement of it, as if I could have chosen that. No, that was just a very lucky chance, just like the shooting star in Jaws, which is a very famous shot if you're not familiar. Right when he says, you come back and chum some of this shit, and then the Jaws pops up for the first time, and he shoots up, and there's like a shot of him staring down, and there's a beautiful shooting star. All coincidence. Legendary? Yes. Coincidental? Yes. But that's Spielberg for you, eh? Not trying to say I'm Spielberg. And then we got the beautiful Milky Way in there, too. Look how gorgeous that is. And then looks like I subsequently went back to trying to get another one of these standing images. I think this was my favorite originally. Again, kind of a nice little shooting star in there, if I'm not mistaken. Much more prominent. Looks like that one was maybe a little bit brighter in the sky. And this image is cool too, but again, I really don't like my silhouette here. It feels messy. Look at that. And I could harden the edges around my silhouette probably in Photoshop if I wanted to make that look a little cleaner, but I don't feel like it, you know. HDR makes sense. Yeah, HDR makes sense to blend it and make it into a new DNG. Awkward if you resembled a lady's hand. Yes. Anyway, this photo, maybe we'll edit this one another time, but the one that, again, that I really wanted to do was this guy, because I love the composition. While I am center punched, which is not always ideal, I think it very much works for this image. So let's go back to that. After going through our proofs, let's go back. We're going to set this back to defaults. Whoops. We're going to set this back to camera raw defaults in every way, which I know I can do easily. Reset to default. Thank you. Okay. So this is the image I want. Look, you can't even see that shooting star in the sky in the top side. Also looks like I photoshopped out. There's this little, that's definitely a plane flying by, or in fact, it might be a helicopter. We Photoshop that out, which we will get to. Very easy. You could do that. We're not even going to do it in Photoshop. We're going to do it in Adobe Camera Raw. So obviously, like I said, I always shoot in auto white balance. But let's bring it back to the cool color temperature that we know we're going to want it to feel like. Why I say I don't mind light pollution, and we do have options here. First, let's boost the exposure just a little bit so we get a little bit closer. Whoops, what the fuck is that? That's the wrong bar, bro. Let's bring this up closer to how it's going to end up brightness wise. And then we can bring down our color temp. And knowing, again, I said I do like a little bit of a gradient sometimes, which sometimes is kind of nice, like have a purplish red fading into that deep blue from the deeper space portions of the frame. But I kind of want to eliminate all of the additional color and go straight into the deepest blue we possibly can, or very close to it. So 2000 Kelvin is the maximum. And I'm going to use these other images as my cheat sheet, kind of. We had it at 24K predetermined. And I think actually this one was at 22 when we first had it set, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll tweak it. We can do some tweaks. And always, if I'm editing these here, it might be subject to change. I might make a little additional tweaks if I'm going to post this online somewhere or make some additional tweaks to it. Just getting a base, you know. Tint, let's leave tint where it is now. And again, I'll use, well, let's see, what cheat sheet wise, we had -16 green. Let's just set it there. Again, cheat sheet, just so we can make this easy. I don't want to futz around with all these sliders for the entire night. And then we had our saturation, which does help quite a bit with errant noise in the frame, I find. A little bit down, but I'll set it to 40. That was negative 60 something. I'll set it to 40 right now. Because we're such a low color temperature, saturation in all the blues gets bumped up to the extreme. Because that's basically the only channel you start using at a certain point once you bring this. Like if you see in the color channel, getting so much blue, obviously, and the saturation bumps up. So bringing that saturation down looks a little bit more realistic. And then, let's see, I believe I brought the shadows down like crazy in this guy. Contrast really high. Oh, it looks like I boosted. Okay, shadows and whites. Let's set the exposure to negative 0.4 for now. Well, actually, maybe this one's a little different. You know, I'll just do this. I'll do this on white. It's maximum contrast. We bumped the highlights up a lot. We bumped the shadows up a lot. And that's right. Then we bring the exposure all the way down to kind of get the dynamic range maximized while still keeping the contrast in line with where we want it to be. Because when you boost shadows and highlights, you're just reducing contrast like crazy. Errant noise. Yes, it would. I feel like we come with a lot of good names here on the stream. Again, cheat sheet. Okay, no, highlights were down. Whites were all the way up. Highlights we had down here. Whites we had all the way up. Damn. Oh, yeah, and then we bring the exposure down again. What was it at? $85. Okay, bringing it back into play. And then negative 20 on the blacks. And then it was negative 4-ish. And you can see that saturation. That's why we had it down at like minus 60. Because that saturation gets intensities. And then really all we got to do is some noise reduction. Manual, please. Thank you. See, I don't want, this is the new AI denoising. Let's not do that right now because I don't want to deal with it. We want to remove a lot of color. Watch, I'm basically going to boost these like all the way. And this is the magic of noise reduction. Smoothness is very important for these old blotchy type noise reduction. Like if we take all the color noise away. I guess this isn't, I think it's not as blotchy because we already changed the color temperature, whatever. If it's very blotchy, color smoothness always seems to be magical to me. But we'll just all the way. Let's just go all the way. Smoothness, ramp that up. Although I don't think we need as much of that as I initially. A lot of my older images that are getting some noise reduction treatment seem to do well with a pretty good amount of color smoothness. And then where did I put the detail level? 50. Okay. Looks like we only had 50 color noise reduction. The only issue with images like this in noise reduction is that it's going to eat your stars away if the detail is lost too much, which we might lose a couple little specks in there. It's not going to bother me. And I'm not trying to say this is the best noise reduction. Again, this is like web ready stuff. So any kind of haloing, any kind of artifacting due to noise reduction, it's not going to be seen because the image is going to be seen online and nowhere else. And cleaning that shit up is a whole nother thing. So we're not going to do that. But I do want to do something about the graininess. So luminance noise reduction is going to help us get rid of these speckle spots and kind of just smooth this out a little bit. Not to say I want to get rid of all of that grain. A little bit of grain can actually help add a feeling of texture, which I very much love. And if we printed this very large, I might actually I might smooth it out like crazy. And then I might add like a texture pack or something like that to add a more film grain look to it. Because this is, again, there's going to be a lot of artifact, and you can see a lot of haloing going on here around some of these pinpoint light sources, which aren't going to look great blown up and printed out, but at web viewing size, totally fine, right? Totally fine. Let's see, where did we have our luminance set here? 80, 50 on the detail, which looks about right. I think this is where a lot of that haloing is coming from, is the detail, trying to over sharpen those minute details. Let's just do 80. And that looks pretty damn good, isn't it? But we still got a couple little issues here. First of all, I feel like we could bump the exposure up just a tiny bit, which again, some of these slight exposure adjustments, slight color tweaks. Thank you, Redeem. I don't have my headphones on. I actually should have it. I should have it so I get playback even without my headphones, because I just don't want to wear my headphones because they're like earmuffs. It's another 10 degrees of heat for me. We want to do just a couple small cleanup jobs here. This line, what is that, a lightsaber? What the fuck is that going through my image? No. So we're going to do just a little bit of spotting that sucker out, which is so easy to do. So easy to do. Now that we got the option to do this in Adobe Raw instead of Photoshop. So easy. Look at that. Boom. One little paint out. Done. And it's not, it didn't cut through enough of the stars to really feel, you don't feel that Photoshopping done, or at least I don't think you do. What else do we have here? Okay. Let's check out my silhouette. How's my silhouette doing here? It looks great. Again, I mean, I think if shooting this again, which I would love to go try to accomplish a shot like this again, recreate it with all of the technical know-how and the actual technology at my disposal to do it. But I'd like to do this. I'm not the happiest about the blur on my actual facial silhouette, but it's enough that it reads as a face to me. One thing I don't like is the placement of my hand. Wait. Whoa. Let's brighten this up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is embarrassing, but guess what? I'm not embarrassed. Placement of my hand. Now it's just kind of lying over my hip here, but there's kind of an unfortunate little tent, we might call like a pants tent or a hump here. And that's it's a little weird in silhouette because you don't know it's my hand, right? You're just kind of seeing a bulge, battle of the bulge. So I would love to kind of just flatten that hump down just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. So let's see if I can get away with. And if this doesn't work right, I'm going to say forget about it. But I think, easy kind of to just kind of flatten that hump down. Try to limit the amount of space we're fixing so it's not making any weird exposure adjustments. Just to get a base. Secrets. Okay, and then it kind of flattens. You see what I'm saying? And then we have a nice flat silhouette. Do you like that? Thank you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Massive frame drop on my stream. Ooh, is it dropping again? It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes. Yeah, I knew that the frame rate's been messed up since the beginning. I appreciate you saying that though. I thought we got it kind of working better, but anyway, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We had some issues. If it's not that great, I apologize. We're actually pretty close to wrapping up, so y'all won't have to deal with it too much longer. Anyway, we fixed the glitch. And then we can bring our exposure back down to where we wanted it to be. Ish, don't think so. Don't think so. And then the only other thing, I'm not the biggest fan. There's this small little peak right here, kind of just dipping out from the bottom of the frame. And it makes the rock face kind of an odd shape. I either would have liked to have included more of that or taken some of it out. So I'm just going to do the easy thing, which is cropping it. And I think what would be nice, because again, this is going to be destined for web display, which we know everybody's phone is going to be 16:9. So let's make it 16:9. And then we're just going to crop out that little tiny peak to kind of clean up the composition a little bit. I think it just felt a little distracting. I don't want to lose too much of the Milky Way, so let's shift the crop over. We want that shooting star to fall just about that top right third of the frame. Doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, I'm going to err on the side of giving us more of the Milky Way. And I always, obviously, if we're doing this in RAW, we don't have to worry about cropping the actual pixels. But if we're doing this in Photoshop, just remember there's the option to save what you've cropped so you can resize at will. I highly recommend keeping that, so it's a little bit of a non-linear editing experience that you get, or at least better so than throwing those pixels away. You're not throwing those pixels away on shipping costs. And then that's pretty much where I want it to be. I think saturation can probably come down maybe a little bit. Again, I'm going to make some small tweaks before I post this, most likely, because also, as I've explained many times, it's not the best video or photo editing experience having a light blasting you in the face. There's a lot to be said about editing and color accuracy and the environment in which you are editing. And I am not in the best editing environment, so I apologize. Some things might shift. I might tweak the crop a little bit. I actually, looking at it, I think I'm not going to do 16:9. Y'all can just deal with your phones not being right. Because I'm losing too much of the Milky Way there and it's starting to feel weird. So let's just crop out from the bottom again, and maintain our view on the Milky Way all the way to the left side so it bleeds out. And then I don't like it, kind of a pet peeve, if there's a star kind of cut in half on the edge of the frame. You notice at the top part of the frame, there's like a couple stars, and it's probably going to be hard to get all of them from being cropped a little bit, but there's a couple that are especially annoying to me right at the top. So let's just kind of crop down. And I could Photoshop those out too, if we really wanted to, but something like that. Yeah, well, that didn't really help much, because no matter what, there's too many stars to get away from having some cropped out a little weird. I think it was just that top right side, that really bright one, which might be tough resolving on the actual stream window. I'll just leave it full. So we're not cropping out anything we don't want to not crop out, because the only thing we really want to crop out is that little tiny rock at the bottom. Otherwise, we're keeping it as full as we can. And that's about it. That is about it. Let me actually darken it up a little bit. This is one of those images, it's reading it from the histogram, reading the exposure from the histogram. Not gonna be a good idea because it looks terrible in terms of how the shadows are blocked up. But we actually want a lot of full black in this image, in my opinion. Oh, you're off to bed, dude. Low base guy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and stopping by. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. Happy holidays. If I don't see you, I do plan on being back and doing more often. So hopefully I'll see you soon. But thank you. Happy holidays. Got to Photoshop those little details. Yes. Yeah, this is essentially where I want it to be. And like I said, I might adjust, like I said, with this light blasting me in the face and the editing setup here, I'm going to take some time, tweak it a little bit, tweak contrast, tweak exposure, tweak the color just a little bit. But that is 95% done and ready to go. So let's open it up. Also, I will probably, once this also gets onto the intended white background, which is the last thing that we need to add, is our white border. We love our white border. It's an Ansel Adams. I got it from Ansel Adams. He always said that a picture is most well represented on a white border. You really want a white border as opposed to a black mount for your images. Although I've gone back and forth. I've mounted on black, mounted on white. It kind of depends on the image. I've mounted with a white trim around, a thin white trim on a black border, done the black border on a white board, white trim, black border, whatever. Different iterations, and your tastes change over time. It's just what happens. Anyway, open this sucker up. Once we put it on a white background, the exposure will probably appear to be slightly different. And I will probably do a little curve layer to tweak it. So let's just create a new layer. We have... I'm sorry. Let's just create... I have a custom Instagram... We have our Instagram white background kind of sized and ready to go. And then all we got to do is drag and drop. Or wait, there's some tweaking needs to be done. Wait, cancel. $240. Am I at 240 on our? Just got to make sure resolution is going to match 300. So we just got to, let's just equalize these suckers at 240. API. Throw it on or throw it. It's fine. It's fine. The color source, whatever. You're fine. Are you fine? You're fine. Although, wait, I think there's also, hang on. We didn't resize. Don't save. Oh, whoops. Oh, well. Just have to open that back up again. We're going to resize. I think I do it 9 by 9 inches on its longest side. I should have done that when we swapped resolution. Easy breezy. Easy breezy. So 240. And then we went the longest side at 9, and that gives us a 1/2 inch because we have a 10 by 10 inch pre-made border. And we want 1/2 inch on each side-ish or so to display properly like that. Like that. And actually exposure almost looks better to me on the white than on the black. I think it kind of needed that. Although I still think maybe contrast could be bumped up a little bit. Like I said, I'm probably going to do some additional tweaking to this sucker. Just some tiny bitty tweaking. Get the most we can out of it. As long as people can see the little shooting star, as long as people can see my silhouette in the starry night. But again, seeing this very large print of this image would be ideal to me. Here, let's just throw in a quick little curve layer. Wait, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't spend enough time in Photoshop, I'll tell you that, which is probably good. Adjustment layer. Duh, Paul. Come on, dude. This is baby talk. Baby talk, baby. Let's just add a tiny bit more contrast. Oh, make that sing for me. Just make that sing. I don't mind the blacks getting blocked up like that because I want a deep, deep black to that deepest portion of the sky for sure. And I want myself to be deep, deep black silhouette. May back off just a tiny, tiny bit. Just the tiniest bit for posterity. Sweet. And then here, let's save now. Beep, 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 beep. No. How about no? Save to the cloud. How about no? Actually, it will end up on the cloud eventually. It's very good to save to the cloud here. You get instant backup online. I'm not making fun of it, actually. Okay, so we're titling this Dreamer. You know I'm a dreamer. Edits. Dreamer. Photoshop doc. We have it as sRGB for web display already, so that's good. Although printables, we'd want it RGB, obviously. Whoa, hey, whoa! My mouse tried to run away from me. Thought this thing was inanimate. You're a fucking inanimate object. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done, people. Bear with me. Yeah, that looks great. I'm very happy. The only last little thingy dingy we gotta do is throw in our signature. Also, we will mess around with generative fill at some point. I know that's a new, very fun thing to do. We'll do that sometime. And I think it's gonna feel really well balanced to have my signature inside, which I might change my mind as we do this, but let us see. Obviously, if we're going to put it against black, we need a white font, and we need... let's make it a marker. No, just make it Times. Times is fine. Paul Mosi Hanton. Pal. ProSnap Pal Mosi Hanton. Make that kind of smaller. Shrinkage. Again, shrinkage. I don't mind shrinkage while we're doing live streams. Totally fine. 11-point font. I typically don't want to put my name on the image like this, but then we also have like the security of people just being able to crop the border out and then my name not be there. Although I don't know if I like the way this looks. Stop it with the snapping. I know the hotkey for that, but I'm not as good with it as I should be. Dude, signature placement's kind of important. That actually doesn't look too bad. I think that kind of balances it out, too. Myself. Subject to change. Signature placement, subject to change. I do kind of like that, though. It feels right. Because we have the hot spot from the Milky Way on this side here, and it kind of extends into the left side of the frame. It feels like it's kind of fitting to have something a little brighter down in there to balance, because it's a very heavy, dark, detailless area in the frame. Anyway, boom, save that. I won't even bother exporting it as a JPEG right now because, like I said, I'll probably do some tweaking to it later. Small tweaks, small little tweaks. Anyway, there you have it. Dreamer by Paul Mossy Hinton. Although I might call it Ascended Dreamer. Again, I haven't decided. Either way, that was pretty sweet, dudes. I'm glad we're getting back into that kind of thing. Oh, I meant to take another shot with y'all. I don't know. Just know that I'm going to take a shot of tequila after I get off. In celebration. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Oh. I made so many mistakes tonight, but isn't that life? Had a good time. We had some issues. Frame rate goes back as soon as I get out of Photoshop. Had some issues, but we stuck it out. We made it happen. I really appreciate everybody being here and hanging out. Thank you very much. Being a part of this, making me feel loved and appreciated for my birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will be back probably over the weekend at some point to do something. Probably going to be gaming. Let's be honest. Do some gaming of some kind. But I don't have anything else really 100% scheduled. So keep an eye out for when we're going online, but I doubt it's going to be tonight. I was thinking about maybe doing something else tonight, some more Fallout or something, but we will definitely do some gaming this weekend at some point. Just don't know when. We're working on our photo store, our camera shop in Fallout 76, our Christmas camera shop. Thank you. We're doing our Nuka-Cola Christmas camera shop, as we like to do every year. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you. And so we've been building, we started last night. Yeah, it was last night. Yesterday we started building our new camera shop in Fallout 76. So I'll be doing more of that. Again, we're, working on building what will be the actual content here. This is all just us making content. You know what I mean? That's the purpose. When we're doing the streams, and I know I say this, I'm a broken record, but when we're doing all the video game streams, what we're actually doing is just kind of researching that game and the photography in that game and what we want to say about it and making it our own thing. In Fallout, we have our own way of taking pictures, our own projects. In Zelda, we have our own shrine photography projects that we've been working on. And we're going to get back to all that too. I know we haven't done much Zelda, but don't worry. It's a lot of work doing those streams. There's a lot more that goes into it. And so I just needed a little bit of a break, but don't worry. We got so much Zelda stuff coming up. That's like huge part of what we do here. Triforce Thursdays and Triforce Tuesdays. Photographing those shrines. They don't photograph themselves, Anyway, those are all to come. The video reviews of the photography and video games and such. More photoshopping to be done. We got video editing to do. Anyway, we'll have some fun.